My introduction to jazz might very well have been my sister taking me to a stage show at the main film emporium in San Antonio. That what happened was that when vaudeville died because of the movies, more or less, the vaudevillians still had a foothold with something called a stage show, so that the movie had an accompanying stage show. They'd show the film, then they'd have what used to be vaudeville, and then they would have the movie. And sometimes one of the features of such a stage show was a big band. And it might be a white band like Dave Apollon, or it might have been Duke Ellington, or it might have been, any of a number of bands. So probably the first time I heard a colored band was at a mostly white audience stage show. And the difference was pretty striking, even to someone like me. And then once you start also reading about it and paying even more attention from listening to records and so forth, you get into the fact that there's two completely disparate cultures, one of which is the Methodist Church of white people, and the other is the gospel churches of the black people. And most of my peers never heard the latter. But I would, for example, in Texas you could drive when you were 14 years old. So as soon as I had my license, then I was eligible to drive the maid to her church services and sit outside in the car and listen. And it was a very different thing. And I would, by this time, knew some of the bands, and when they would play in San Antonio, where they played was called the Colored Library Auditorium. And there would be 1,000 people there, and I would be the only white face in the whole giant. And under those circumstances, you pretty much disappear. But if you try to do that in a more intimate setting like a bar or what you're calling a juke joint, it wouldn't work out. You'd definitely cramp some style. But in the other setting, you could even talk to the musicians between when they had an intermission or something like that. And they were very urbane people. They were, they traveled all over. They were used to hobnobbing with white people and stuff like that. And in fact, later years, I would meet somebody and tell them, oh, I remember you, that it was so unusual that it was like that. But you get to into a different relationship with musicians when you talk to them rather than when you just listen to their playing. You find out that basically they're just people with a gift. And it bodes you well later to have learned that early. And I also decided that I would like to do that. And that particular strain fits in with everything for the rest of my life. That music is something that you do, not just bathe in. The other thing about these that gets to me is that they speak so easy, they could be bowed.